Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/JoshuaVelas and become a $2 backer today and get early access to the new episodes. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below, but for now, on to today's episode. You're listening to the Augmented Experience podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Joshua Velas. I'm a student, musician, and a gamer at heart. Join me as I sit down every week to talk about all the latest news in the technology, business, and video game world. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is Joshua Velas. I am your host as usual, and obviously, welcome back to the show. Today's episode 131 of the show, and before we get started, we're going to do a bit of house cleaning real quick because, well, we always like to do it around here, and there's still a lot to talk about in terms of house cleaning, so let's get right into it. Obviously, I want to thank you guys for coming back and listening to today's episode. It really does mean a lot to me, guys. Constantly keep coming back, and you keep downloading these episodes, you keep sharing them, you keep giving me your feedback and input on the topics, and I greatly appreciate that. And I can tell that you guys definitely enjoyed last week's episodes, even though, granted, we didn't have video, which now we do. So hi, for all the people that are watching on YouTube, we're back using video for this week. Because like I said, last week was a bit of a rough week, mainly because, well, we had a really long interview, which was Tuesday's episode. And then we also had, Saturday's episode, which is supposed to be for Friday. But long story short, we got them done. And we obviously have episodes for you guys. So if you guys haven't seen those episodes, there will be title card up there so you guys can go watch them. I also want to say thank you to my Patreon backers for coming back and supporting me. It greatly means a lot to me. You guys constantly keep coming back and you keep supporting me financially. I greatly appreciate you guys. Thank you. And obviously you guys will get this episode early, so if you want to become a Patreon backer, it's only $2 a month and you get early access to the new episodes. So that's a good bonus of being a Patreon backer, is that, well, you get this stuff early. And then over time we're going to be upgrading everything for the Patreon backers so that you guys can get better content as a result for supporting me. So we're working on that. I also want to say thank you guys for helping us get over 1,900 total downloads. I know I said on the Saturday episode, I normally would say Friday, but on the Saturday episode, I mentioned that we hit over 2,000. However, I looked at the program again, it just reset, and then it's like, okay, now it's 1,900. So I'm like, okay, we haven't broken the goal for 2,000, so we still have to break this before the end of the year. So we're at 1,900 right now. Again, thank you guys for 1,900 total downloads. Really means a lot to me. Let's try to get to 2,000 before the end of the year. That's pretty much the goal that I have. And I think aside from that, besides like some other tedious things, like during the weekend, I was upgrading my computer. So now I have a liquid cooler. So now this thing is running extremely quiet. So you guys actually can't even hear it while I'm recording on it. So, that's a pretty nice benefit in my opinion. Granted, it's a Corsair H60. It's the 2018 version that doesn't have the white LED. I didn't want the LED because I didn't really care about it, but it's really great. I like it so far, and it's keeping my 3900 cool. So, that's all that matters. But it's time that we get into today's episode because we have a lot to talk about in regards to Xbox news, which surprisingly, that's the title of the episode, Xbox news. We're going to be covering a lot of the news that has recently come out regarding the Xbox this past few days. And I do want to mention that it's going to be covering many topics. So I didn't want to do this like individually. I felt that it's more appropriate to just do them all together because it makes it easier to compile all the thoughts, because there's definitely a lot of things that overlap. And for me, it's going to be interesting, especially going into the next generation of consoles, which, as I've already mentioned, I will be getting an Xbox Series X. I already have my pre-order in. I'll be getting the console day one. So I'm excited for that, to see what happens. So I can, obviously unbox the new Xbox for you guys and then show you guys. It'll basically be the first tech review, because I've mentioned this multiple times that for me, this is the first console that I have bought on day one. I have never bought a console on day one. I didn't buy my Switch day one. I didn't buy my Xbox 360 day one. I bought my PS2 day one. I didn't buy my Nintendo DS's day one. I didn't buy my Wii day one. Like, I didn't buy any of them day one. And for me, this will be the first time buying a console day one. So I'm excited. I'm excited, especially because a lot of the news that has come out has really definitely put Microsoft in a good limelight in regards to this console. And it's not even me just saying, whoo, Xbox, Team Xbox. No, it's the point of, look, we're going to be objective, and at the same time, we're also going to congratulate Microsoft for the recent efforts that they've been putting into this generation, because they definitely have been in the good graces of the tech community and gaming in general in the past couple months, especially with the launch of the upcoming launch of this console. They've definitely been in the good graces of everybody, and this news, I would say, solidifies it even more, especially given what we're going to talk about. So let's talk about something a little bit more recent. Let's talk about the backwards compatibility showcase. And I know a lot of y'all are thinking, like, Josh, does anybody really care about backwards compatibility? And I know there's people that say, there's statistics that say people don't, but in the grand scheme of things, especially given that this generation of consoles, there's not really any main launch titles, I would say, because think about it. Demon Souls is not, it's not really a new game. It's just basically an old PS3 game with enhanced graphics. And a lot of people have been using this argument that I've noticed, that when you see the console fanboys, they will also, all the time, they will always use this thing as like, oh, Microsoft has no exclusives. Like, Microsoft has no exclusives, that it's just a bunch of old games getting enhanced visuals, and that's why people think that backwards compatibility is just a gimmick. However, it's a pretty important thing, especially given that this next generation of consoles, there's not really many launch titles coming. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, what about Spider-Man? Well, you can play it on a PS4 too. So there's not really a reason to get either console day one. And I like what Microsoft is doing in this aspect, because they're giving you more incentives, like, hey, you don't need to get this console day one, but if you want to play your current catalog of games at a better, better frame rates, better visuals, then get the Series X. And a lot of people don't seem to realize that this is basically how PC mentality works, where your PC, all you need to upgrade is a graphics card. You're in the market for a new graphics card, and you go get a new graphics card, not because you need it, but because you want to play your games at a higher resolution, better frame rates. And that's what this upgrade is essentially doing, especially with the backwards compatibility and what Microsoft's doing with their AI and enhancing old games. And they're not really optimized for the new hardware. It's just the raw power of the new Zen 2 cores and the new GPU is definitely pushing these games to levels that weren't imagined. And Digital Foundry recently did a video showing off the backwards compatibility test, and they showed a lot of old games like Hitman running at native 4K 60 FPS. They showed it at the 1440p performance mode, running at clean 60 with no drops. They showed Shadow of the Tomb Raider running at performance mode at 1080 60 clean, no drops, nothing. And they were doing side-by-side comparisons with the Xbox One X. I know the naming scheme is definitely weird, but it definitely shows that there was so much headroom for these games that it's weird, because they gave so much headroom, and now that they have a console that's able to power it, now they're able to leverage these better frame rates, better resolutions, and they're not even optimized. These better resolutions and everything is coming because of the new hardware. It's just raw power, just powering through and making these games run better and enhancing them. And that doesn't include when Microsoft actually goes in and uses the AI algorithm to enhance these games to truly utilize the full power of the next generation of consoles. And it's very interesting when watching this, because I personally, on my Xbox account, I have a lot of my games. On my PC, I love my PC. My PC is great. However, there's still a lot of games on my Xbox that I can't transfer that account data over, because, well, that company doesn't do that kind of stuff. And it kind of sucks, in my opinion, because I can't transfer those games that I really like. And I can't transfer all the hard work that I put into it, like Monster Hunter World. I love Monster Hunter World. It was my first Monster Hunter game that I really went through and played, and play it religiously. And it's surprising because it also came out on my birthday. So it came out on my 18th birthday, and that's why I was like, I had a genuine connection with it. Same thing with Dragon Ball Z Fighters. They both came out on my birthday, which I was like, and I was really excited. And I really liked the game, because I think in Monster Hunter World, I think I have like close to 300 hours in that game. I know that's nothing. I know there's people with thousands of hours in that game. Like I said, I haven't played this game ever since I sold my Xbox One S. And I always said that I don't want to buy this game on PC, because I don't want to start over. I don't want to dump another 300 hours to get the same gear that I had. And that's why I haven't even played Iceborne. And I know a lot of people have been loving Monster Hunter World with Iceborne expansion, with all the new monsters coming and a lot of the old favorites coming back, especially now we're getting the last monster, Fatalis. And for me, the fact that this game was running at 4K 60, granted, it would dip sometimes, maybe like to I'd say 54 frame, 55 frames, 58. It would dip in that range, but it's very interesting, in my opinion. It's personally very interesting. Granted, I think the performance mode is going to run clean 60 FPS, no reason. And I personally would prefer that. I'd rather play Monster Hunter World at 60 FPS clean the whole time, because like I said, to me, it's such a difference when you see the game running at 30 or barely even hitting 30, and now it's hitting like 60 and at least almost consistently hitting 60. And especially at 4K, which is very impressive. True native 4K, which that's actually pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. And all this is for a $500 console. It's $500 clean the whole way through. And for me, it's interesting seeing how this console is able to power through and just make these games run better. And another example is GTA 4, where GTA 4 was running at 60 FPS the whole way through and with HDR on. And a lot of people are like, that's pretty crazy. I know it's like a super old game, but the fact that they're able to see this game finally run on a console at 60 FPS, for a lot of people, they're really happy. So I'm personally excited for that, because like I said, a lot of people have been in different regards to it. Like some people are like, this is actually really impressive that Microsoft has been able to pull this off. And the fact that they were able to get this kind of power into a console, that it's able to make these games run better. And now we're definitely seeing the transition where the console space is now becoming similar to the PC space, where it's really, the CPUs are all going to be the same. It just comes down to which graphic fidelity you want. Do you want running these games at 4K? Do you want running these games at 1080 and 1440p at high resolutions, or 60 FPS? And to me, it's very interesting, especially when we talk about the Xbox Series S, because I know a lot of people are like, well, the Series S obviously isn't as powerful as the Series X. Clearly, granted, it's still just as powerful as obviously the Xbox One X, because like I said, it's using a better CPU, and at the same time, the graphics, even though yes, in terms of teraflops, it has 2 less teraflops than the One X. However, it's still a newer architecture that's far better and more power efficient, and it has more power, even though yes, it only has 4 teraflops, because as we stated, teraflops is not a good way of genuinely measuring performance. It's not. It's a good way to show, hey, there's definitely good power in here, but it doesn't mean that this is the be all end all benchmark for how we approach power. And I know a lot of people are like, well, they also mentioned that backwards compatibility is going to run the One S version instead of the One X version. And I'm like, well, yes, because it's running a 1080p and 1440p version. It's not going to run a 4K version. Yes, it could do upscale 4K. It's not supposed to do 4K. That if you want true 4K gaming, you go for the One X or the Series X, because that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to play 4K with no issues, while the Series S is primarily designed for the 1080p, 1440p crowd that just wants 60 FPS guaranteed. And to me personally, it's very interesting seeing how a lot of people are saying that the Series S is going to be outdated really quickly and things like that. And I'm like, well, not really, because it's using the same CPU. It's still using a basically a next generation CPU, because the CPU is what's doing all the work, because it's no longer being bottlenecked by the Jaguar CPUs that were in the older generations of consoles. And like I said, it's not variable clock, just like the PS5 version, which is all variable clocked, which, as we're starting to see, is causing a lot of division, because people are seeing that, hey, maybe the PS5 isn't as powerful as we think it's going to be, and it's leading to a lot of issues. And a lot of people are like, I guess this is why Sony is not letting anybody actually use the PS5 or do any breakdowns or actually do tests and benchmarks with it. And it's very interesting, to be honest. It's very interesting. Granted, we've also received word about how the SSDs are going to function as well in the new consoles, specifically in the Series X, because like I said, Microsoft has been very open, very, I'd say, liberal in allowing people to get hands-on with a console and actually like do benchmarks and run the numbers. And we actually got to see pretty impressive results with the SSD. Granted, keep in mind, these are not optimized, because, personally, you can go watch the Verge's video, you can watch the Digital Foundry video. The Verge video will primarily focus on the SSD speeds, while the Verge, the Digital Foundry video will also do that, but it will also do a couple other games that the Verge did not do in their videos, and I'll be leaving links to those in the description down below so you guys can go watch those, because I highly recommend you go watch those. But we're definitely seeing big improvements for games like Warframe, games like Destiny 2, games like Monster Hunter World, games that normally would take like a million years to load are now loading in seconds. Granted, there's some of them where it's about like a 5-second difference ish, but keep in mind, like I said, these aren't optimized for the SSD, because like I said, gaming has been primarily optimized for HDDs pretty much for a while, ever since PC started. Like, yes, SSDs on PCs are basically just raw powering their way through things and just giving more output, and it's not really optimized for it, it's just giving more output. And then, like I said, this is a really important thing, especially even for the PC space, because now developers are going to start optimizing specifically for SSDs instead of hard drives, because now the consoles are giving developers a more efficient way of focusing and narrowing in on something. Now we're able to get better performance, because now they're genuinely going to be focusing on the SSD and leveraging the better read and write speeds that come with them. So in general, PC gamers are going to benefit with console gamers, because like I said, gaming is more optimized for consoles. That's pretty much what it is, because consoles are designed for playing games. And granted, yes, you can also do more with it, because now with the more power, you can stream with it, because Microsoft has built-in streaming, they have built-in recording, they have built-in ways that you can publish videos on YouTube, send them to YouTube, send them to PlayStation. And personally, it's going to be interesting, especially with the new horsepower, that now we're given more options, and that's really impressive in my opinion. And the fact that the SSDs are definitely performing well, they're definitely doing their job. Like I said, they're not optimized, so I'm guessing once they're fully optimized, then yeah, on paper we should be seeing load times about like 5 seconds, or in that range, like maybe around like 5-8 seconds. And the PS5 in theory should be loading things at like 3 seconds, because the way that they're hyping up this SSD are treating it like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It'll be very interesting to see what Sony does with their SSD technology. We also got confirmation on how much storage space you'll actually have once you boot up the damn thing, because a lot of people seem to realize that, hey, whatever storage amount I buy for this console is going to be, I'm not going to get that full terabyte. And granted, with the PS5, it's a little bit more concerning, because it's like 840. So yeah, this is going to be a bit rough, but with the 1 terabyte model, they said that you should be getting around 804 to 840 gigabytes available. And then with the expansion cards, which we will be talking about those for the Xbox Series X and the Series S, the expansion cards will give you about 960, because 40 gigabytes are taken up because of the system on the card. And the expansion cards, we've actually been given prices, and Best Buy now has them for pre-order, where now these expansion cards are about like $220, which is definitely pricey. I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's definitely extremely pricey. But when you're comparing it directly to PC parts, where it's comparable to an NVMe M.2 PCIe Gen 4 SSD, then it comes up at the same price. They're basically the same price. The only difference is Microsoft's is a proprietary solution, custom with the heatsink and everything, while Samsung that's making the new SSD, the 980s, those will be the ones that come about like 220, 210. So Microsoft is definitely being fair with the pricing. Like I said, it's also a proprietary solution. Do I see it going down anytime soon? I would say yes, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't, because like I said, it is a proprietary solution. However, I know those things like proprietary solutions tend to go on sales. Like, it only makes sense that they do. Like, it happens. So I guarantee if these things say drop to maybe $200 or 180 would be the lowest I could see this possibly going, I would say pick up one, because like I said, you're going to want more storage. But they also revealed the numbers of transferring between, external hard drives, external SSDs, which I personally think buying an external SSD that's, maybe a SATA SSD and not a, like one of the NVMe's, I would say the external SSDs would be a way to go, especially a 3.2 or 3, I think it's a 3.1, like the SanDisk Extreme Pro or the new Samsung T7s would be a great option, especially for the new read and write speeds. And based on the numbers, the transfers only take about like 2 to 5 minutes, maybe up to 10 minutes at max, depending on what you're using, if you use a hard drive. But it's definitely not bad transfer speeds. It's definitely fair, especially because a lot of people are going to want to take a lot of their games that they have on their Xbox One, which most people probably have an external hard drive for those things. They're going to take those games and put the ones that they want to play on a frequent basis, put them on the main SSD, and then go from there. And for people that just want more storage of the SSD, like of that same SSD, and maybe get like 2 terabytes, then yeah, the expansion card is good. I'm probably going to buy one of the expansion cards, maybe when the price goes down. I'm going to wait for that because I don't want to pay the full price, because like I said, that kind of hurts my wallet a bit. But I will say that if you are personally buying the Series S, I would buy the card for sure. I know it's a bit more expensive, but like I said, with 512 gigs, you're probably going to get maybe, if we're using that same number, you're probably going to get around like 300 something. I would recommend for sure getting the expansion card. It will be well worth it. Especially, like, I'm being honest, it'll be well worth getting the expansion card. I know, yes, it comes out to the same price about like a Series X, but I would say for you, if you are buying a Series S, then yes, I would say get the expansion card or just get the Series X. That's my personal opinion in the matter, because like I said, that's one of the reasons why I even bought the Series X over the Series S, because I get it. I'm primarily going to play on my 1080p 144 hertz monitor on my computer, but I wanted the extra storage space right off the bat. I didn't want to deal with the reduced space, because like I said, I just want the more space. And granted, like I said, the higher frame rates and everything, I'll be able to take advantage with my monitor and things like that. So I'm definitely excited to see how this plays out in the grand scheme of things. But I will say that is going to be interesting, especially because like I said, these aren't cheap. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, these things are not cheap. They're definitely expensive. So we should definitely be mindful, like, hey, this generation is going to be really expensive, because like I said, the fact that Microsoft was able to get these consoles to the price that they're at is astonishing, because like I said, people don't seem to realize, yes, PC hardware, good PC hardware gets super expensive. Like, think about it. Like, the new graphics cards, yes, I know the 3080 and the 3090. 3080 is reasonably priced at $700 like it should be. And then like the 3090 is basically a Titan card, but for $1,000 less. Then yeah, we're definitely getting better pricing. However, the SSD technology, like I said, the fact that they're using Gen 4 SSDs is, yeah, like I said, it is going to be pricey this generation. It is not going to be cheap. And I'd say going in from that, I would say it is going to be interesting going into this generation, because like I mentioned before, we're starting to notice how Microsoft is playing the more consumer-friendly role, while Sony just seems to be dropping the ball left and right. And I do want to elaborate a little bit more on the topic that we talked about on Saturday's episode, where they bought ZeniMax, and ZeniMax includes all of Bethesda and all the studios that Bethesda owns. And a lot of people seem to still not understand that Microsoft would not, like, I know there's been interviews where Phil Spencer's come out and the head of Bethesda's come out and said, like, look, we're working with our partners, we're going to do everything by case basis, if we're going to make it exclusive or not. Because I'm being honest, if they straight up came out and told everyone, look, all of the Bethesda games are going to be exclusive on Xbox, they're not going to come to PlayStation, they're still going to honor the deals that are in place, because like I said, that's fair. You want to honor the deals that are already been in place, because like I said, the pen is dry, so you can't change that. But I will say that a lot of people seem to still think that Microsoft is not going to make games like the next Doom or Elder Scrolls or Starfield and make these games exclusive. Like, you guys need to use common sense and logic in this situation. You're not going to spend $7.5 billion just to let your competition still get your games. Like, that's not smart business, guys. Like, yes, even though every game that comes out on a PlayStation that's from Bethesda or one of their studios, Microsoft is going to be making money off the PlayStation. That's kind of funny. However, I don't think that Microsoft is going to allow a lot of those games to be exclusive, to be honest. I don't think, personally, I think Starfield and Elder Scrolls will for sure be exclusive to the Xbox and PC. I think that's a guarantee that it's only going to be on those consoles. It's only going to be on the Xbox and it's only going to be on PC. I don't think you're going to see Elder Scrolls and Starfield on the PlayStation, especially if the rumors are true that Starfield is like this massive game. Granted, I haven't been doing so much research into it because I'm not that, I wouldn't say that I don't care about the game, but like I said, it's not my style. But the next Doom on Xbox and PC, now that, like I said, that will be very fun and interesting, because Doom, as I mentioned, Doom Eternal, in my opinion, is going to be Game of the Year winner, because I don't see any game that is going to compete with it. Like, yes, there's Cyberpunk, and I know Cyberpunk is probably going to be the big front runner in that regards. Ghost of Tsushima. I know some people say, what about The Last of Us 2? I'm like, look, that game, in my opinion, should not be in the discussion. It's not going to win. I guarantee you it will not win. I think Ghost of Tsushima, Cyberpunk, or Doom Eternal are for sure the locks for winning Game of the Year. But that also means that there's an empty slot too, because that's 4 games. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo ends up getting the nomination for Game of the Year with Animal Crossing, because like I said, Animal Crossing has been a very popular game. It's almost close to like how many millions? Like, it's definitely making a lot of money. And Nintendo basically struck gold with that. Like, especially with the Switch, and the style of Animal Crossing just meshes perfectly. And it's going to be interesting seeing how that plays out. But I will say that people need to understand that this is an important year for consoles. It's going to be crazy, especially given how another piece of news that actually was surprising me that I thought about for a while was how the Xbox was able to sell out in Japan. Granted, like I said, we don't know how many units were sent to Japan. So let's keep that in mind. Let's be realistic and keep it down to earth. We don't know how many consoles were actually sent to Japan. We don't, because Microsoft has known for a long time that the Japanese market is very stiff. Like, especially with the launch of the Xbox One, it wasn't the best case, because the Xbox One launched like 6 months after in Japan, and that was a big loss for them, because the PS5, the PS4 had already been in Japan for already those 6 months, and Japan is known for being more, I'd say, more attached to supporting their own like companies in their own country. So it only makes sense that Microsoft has been constantly pushing to try to get an impact in the Japanese market, especially with the 360, that you had games like Ninja Gaiden and like other games like Jet Set Radio on the Xbox One, on the original Xbox. Jet Set Radio, which I remember Spawnwave Media mentioned that we should get a remastered of that game, and I'm like, yes, because that, like I said, that was a game that I played on the original Xbox. It was a really, really fun game, and personally, it was extremely difficult, especially getting near some of the ender parts of the game. But I do agree that it is very interesting seeing how that whole situation plays out. But I will say that for me personally, it is going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, because this next generation is going to be crazy. The fact that now Microsoft is definitely pushing more towards JRPGs, like they're getting more RPGs, and they're more Western RPGs. They're trying to get JRPGs, like they got things like Yakuza. They're trying to be as consumer friendly as possible, while Sony is continuing to not, I would say, reciprocate the same amount. And it's going to be interesting. I think this generation, we're definitely going to see a good, healthy, I'd say, divide, where we're going to see good competition. We're going to see great games. We have great hardware, and it's going to be interesting. And both generations, I'd say both consoles specifically, are going to go about things in a different way. But like I mentioned before in earlier episodes, and even when the consoles when they weren't even announced, and things and games and everything weren't shown off, I said that Microsoft is going to play a long-term game. That this is a long-term game that Sony doesn't seem like they're going to be able to catch up. Because like I said, Microsoft wouldn't make this kind of investment if they weren't going in for the long haul, that they weren't truly invested in making the Xbox brand big and not just keep it confined to a box. And I know it's crazy because, like I said, Microsoft owns a majority of the market. They do, because they own the mobile space, they own PCs, and they own the Xbox. And that makes up the majority of the consumer base in terms of video games. Because, like I said, basically PC runs on Windows. Microsoft owns Windows. xCloud on mobile phones. Granted, it's not on iPhones, but it's still on Androids, and Androids still have there's still a lot of Android phones on the market and a lot of Android tablets and things like that. And then you have the Xbox. And like I said, the Xbox does have a big following. It does. Whether you believe it or not, it does have a big following. And now with this next generation of consoles, we're definitely seeing how Phil Spencer's definitely been playing his cards right. And it's going to be interesting seeing how this plays out. And the only thing we can do is be excited as gamers. I know the tribalistic mentality of Xbox versus PlayStation, the console wars are always going to be there because it's human nature. Tribalism likes to always exist. I still think it's stupid, but I'm excited to see what happens. Like, I personally want to see more hands-on with the PS5 because, like I said, Travis Scott has already gotten a PS5 early. He posted a picture. The host of the Game Awards, Jeffrey, I keep forgetting his last name, but he's gotten access to the PS5 controller early. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a pre-production PS5 as well. But to me, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be fun. And I'm excited as a gamer to see how this all plays out. As a tech enthusiast, I'm excited because, like I said, the console space is now getting a much needed upgrade that it's needed for a long time. That now it's comparable to high-end gaming PCs. Because, like I said, to build a computer that is similar to the Xbox Series X is about $1,500 to $2,000. That's how much you need to compete with that console. That is what's needed. And then with the Series S, it's impossible to compete with that thing because, like I said, the fact they're able to do 1080p, 1440p at 60 FPS guaranteed, and have an SSD, I'm just like, you can't build a PC for $300 that can compete with that. It's virtually impossible. It's I wouldn't even say virtually. It's literally impossible to do that. Like, there's no way. You're never going to get close to building anything close to it. You won't. And that's okay. But in my opinion, like I said, like what you like, don't be a dick. I know I took that from, if you know where that's from, cool. I greatly appreciate you if you know where that's from. But that's all I really can say on the matter, Like, it's going to be fun. And I'm excited to get this console day one. I'm excited to do a review. I'm excited to, take pictures, show it off, have fun with it, put it in my setup next to the God engine and have fun. And I'm excited for you guys to see it. I'm excited for you guys, whoever actually got a pre-order, whether it be a PS5 or an Xbox Series X or Series S. Like, I'm excited for you guys to get the consoles and have fun with them. Because, like I said, it's all about having fun, just enjoying the games that you like and just having fun with it, like just spending a good quality time with friends or just, just having fun, That's just me, like, that's all I can say on the matter. Just have fun. That's all you can do, guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I know I won't have an episode this Friday because, like I said, I'm going to be busy with test. And I've even mentioned it when we started doing episodes in the dorm room and being back at campus that it's not a guarantee that we're going to be getting episodes every Friday because, like I said, given the schedule of things, it's a bit more taxing because it takes up more time. And it takes time out of where I can be spending studying for my test because, like I said, I'm a college student first and foremost. I'm going to always put college as a priority for me because it is what will lead to the possibility of having something better down the line. And that's just the cold hard reality. I tell people this all the time. To me, I tell people college isn't for everybody, but there are degrees, there are I would say fields of study that require you to go to college because there's experience that is invaluable. I'd say the college experience, I've told people this multiple times. To me, college is just a giant social experiment. That's all it is. It's just a giant social experience for networking, for learning how the real world functions with teamwork and getting to truly understand people, to be more empathetic, to expand your worldview on things. And on top of top of that, you do learn some handy things. You get to meet some nice people. And yeah, I'll be honest, you're going to run into some assholes. That's a guarantee. I mean, like, I'm not lying to you. You're going to run into assholes wherever you go. But you definitely pick up some handy things that will come in handy for life. Because like I said, you know, growing up kind of sucks. You know, I guess this is why my mentors always told me, Josh, you know, enjoy being young. You know, enjoy being young, because growing up isn't as all encompassing and all fun and like badass as like people make it out to seem. Like, adulting is hard, and that's just the cold hard reality. And we're actually going to be doing a real talk about that soon. I'm just saying that now. If you made it to this part of the video, we will be doing a real talk soon, talking about adulting. And I'm excited to do that one, because for me, it's something that's been on my mind for a while, and I've wanted to talk about it for a while. So bear with me, guys. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to see how this plays out. And for me, it's going to be fun, you know? But I love you guys to death. Please continue to be safe. Please continue to take care of everyone around you. Continue to be respectful of everyone around you, because, you know, it's weird times. We need to be respectful of everyone around us, and take care of everyone around you, guys. Be safe. Continue to have fun. And I love you guys to death. Please have yourselves a wonderful week. Don't do anything dumb. And I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Hey there. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and listening to today's episode. If you're interested in supporting the show, whether it be financially, clicking the follow button, or just sharing the episode, it all works for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I love you guys to death.